This week on the podcast, I've done it again. I needed a little pixie dust, so I booked a last-minute trip to Walt Disney World. Carrie and I are talking about what it's like to book a last-minute trip and how it all comes together and how easy or hard some of these components are. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast. Hi, I'm Francine.
And I'm Carrie.
We're two best friends who can't stop talking, usually about Disney stuff.
Sometimes we have fascinating guests, and sometimes it's just us, but it's always positive and fun.
We're happy to have you join our chat. Thanks for listening, and let's get started. Hello, pal.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, I just said, because behind me I got two cats, and they look like they were just about to move.
I was just thinking the same thing.
So I was like, uh-oh.
Well, because it was one of those things where before we start recording, you figure out, like, what do we need to do to prepare and have quiet rooms? And they were both sleeping. Like, the big thing we talked about was that we might hear some snoring.
Yeah, but I think we'll see how it goes. Yeah, that's our pre-plan. We have to close all the windows. I got to check to see where there's cats, see if there's anybody hiding anywhere that's going to disrupt. Like, as Mittens kind of, smuggled herself underneath the couch, and she's going to come up like mid-podcast and starts banging on the door to get out. Some people go to the washroom, get a drink. I do a cat check.
Yep. Yeah. And then we shut all the windows, close everything up, and turn off any air conditioners. So in the summer months, it can get pretty sticky while we're recording.
People are going to ask, well, then how come they still are so long? Like, you guys keep talking so much. You should have shorter ones in the summertime.
You would think so. But that's our problem.
Well, maybe
today, because today is kind of a short one because it's all about last minute stuff.
Let's see how that goes.
Come on, it's got to go better. Today we were going to talk about planning for, quote unquote, planning for a last minute trip and kind of the things to consider and the pitfalls and the benefits. Like, honestly, well, because I was thinking about it last night and I was thinking so many people, they're like, oh my gosh, you have to, like, if you want to go to Walt Disney World, you got to plan, a year in advance. You got to do all this stuff. And so I was thinking, okay, so I got to think about, like, what's the problem with booking last minute? But Carrie, I can't come up with a problem. So this could in fact be quite a short podcast. Like, honest to goodness, I was trying to think of what are the issues with booking so the whole reason this topic came up, we should catch everybody up. The whole reason the topic came up was, it's really no different than any other time that I've done this. Really?
I don't know. This is pretty last minute though.
Is this more last minute for me than others?
Like
maybe?
2 weeks?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you could be right. It's a little more last minute than I'm used to.
Like, you just booked it. You just booked this week, right? Earlier this week, and you'll be there in like
2 weeks.
2 weekends.
Yeah. In fact, from I just looked at the calendar, and when this podcast goes live, I'll be leaving in a couple days. So So I was having it, and maybe it's because I don't have a family to play. Although you could do this with a family too. Like, it really doesn't matter. I was having a miserable week at work at the unmagical job. I was tired. I was cranky. I was generally all around miserable, which happens, pixie dust or not. Sometimes I'm miserable.
That's real life.
That's real life.
Yeah.
Ask anybody at my unmagical job. I just said, I need some joy. I need some fun. So I literally went online and looked to see what was available in terms of accommodations. So for me, Disney Vacation Club member, so I have some points to use. But I've done this before with just like booking in a hotel anyway. So I just went online to see what was available, and Saratoga was available. So I was like, okay. And then I opened the Google Flight app. Now, do you use this, Carrie? I feel like we've talked about it, but I don't know if we've really gone into detail on it.
No, I know it exists. People tell me about it and say I should use it, and I don't, but it's very handy.
Carrie, it's like amazing. So I just started using it probably a couple months ago. Because I don't know what I was tracking, but you key in, here's where I want to go, and you say, here are the dates, and then you can select which airlines, how many stops, maximum flight time, like all of that kind of stuff. So you can put in all the parameters, and it will go away and search the flights that are available for you. There's even a little toggle bar that's like a grid. So it will show you from and to. So meaning if you wanted to be flexible on your dates, and say you were looking to do like Saturday to Saturday, you could look on the grid and see that if you did Friday to Sunday, it was cheaper. Like it actually shows you that. And then there's a little button that says track these flights. So it will send you an email. I know, I feel like I'm selling this thing. But trust me, there is no kickback here. I get no money for this. But it'll send you an email. So every morning I would get up and see your flights went up by 300, like whatever, and they came down the next day. So it's amazing how much they fluctuate, by the way.
From what you've seen on your
data
reports there?
From my data reports. Yeah, maybe it's only good for like numbers people, like, people that love to look at like numbers and stuff like that.
Well, I think maybe it's a little bit more important now. Like, I think before COVID, like when we traveled a lot and we paid attention to flights, like we had really good instinct about what was right price, what was normal price, what was a certain price because of the timing of when you were traveling. Like we had pretty good, experience with that. And then now it's all like, I'm tempted to start using it because, I feel like everything now is kind of.
Yeah. It's all over the place.
Yeah, all over the place.
My Miami trip, when I had to fly home from Miami, that's when I first really used it. But yeah, so you can just key it in and you can say like, I don't want links there or whatever. I don't even know what that is, but I know I don't want it. And it tracks it for you. So then I looked, reservations were available. I ended up, Saratoga was available. So was Bay Lake Tower. So I was like, this must be Christmas the whole week. Like it's not even a split stay. I don't have to move around, nothing. I get to go unpack and stay.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is weird for me because usually last minute that's not a thing. So I booked that. And then the next morning I got up and booked my flights. And I'm going. And it's going to be 1,000 degrees. And it's July, so it's going to be very rainy and hot and gross. It's funny because our friend who's local to Orlando, when I said I'm coming down, and he messaged me and said, it's going to be hot, right?
You didn't forget.
He's like, just a reminder, it's miserable at this time of year.
Well, you know what we also do, I'm sure every Disney fan or almost every Disney fan is like this. It's like when we get home, it's kind of like me with cruising, right? Like how, I get home and you forget about it a little bit. And
you do.
And the warm and fuzziness of the Disney memories or the desperation to get away from your job or just to have a break or have some magic. Like it doesn't, like all that heat, that humidity, it's just a blip in your like it's not that it's not that bad.
Exactly. You forget all of it's kind of, you are right. It's so much, it's like you with the cruise, because you're like, every time Carrie's on a cruise, she's like, I don't like this. Like, seriously, it makes me sick. Why do I do this? I don't know. I don't like it.
Makes me feel kind of yucky.
Yeah, I feel kind of yucky today. Carrie, what are you planning a cruise or what?
It happens.
Yeah. No jinxies, but there might be some water in your future.
There might be a little short sailing in my future. But I did, this is going all over the place. When I was in Rome, in Italy, our adventure guide, I don't know that if I said this on our podcast, but our adventure guide, they had something called travel gum, and it's only available in Italy. And so it's a
gum, like
travel gum,
like GUM
gum. Yep.
Okay.
Chewing gum, chewing gum.
Okay.
And And apparently it's for motion sickness. So when we were on the ABD, I never tried it because I felt fine on the bus, but the people were on the bus and they felt yucky because we're like, driving up and
Yeah.
around hills and whatever. He handed out this travel gum and he said that if anybody wanted it, he had it. You could only buy it in Italy. So I got a picture of the box, and then when we were in Rome, I bought a couple packs of it to bring home to give it a try. So I'm going to try this travel gum.
Oh.
Because it's just like they said he said he brought it to his doctor at home, and they said, oh, it's just Gravol or something like that.
Like some kind of ginger or something like
yeah,
that.
it's a Gravol bonine, whatever type of thing in a gum format. But he says like everybody he always has it on the adventures, and he says everybody says it's awesome and it works. So
Oh, you're kidding.
I bought some of that to give it a try. But yeah, it's a thing like, I forget, and then I'm like, oh, cruise, sure, I'll go.
Sure, I'll go. Can we just digress for one other second?
Yeah.
Because we talked about, you being adventures, going in Italy. Do we want to tell everybody about the conversation we had right before we started recording this about this fantastic purchase? Like, when Carrie went to Italy, he went to Rome.
Yeah. Some might say it's a fashion capital.
Exactly. So do you want to tell everybody what fashion purchase you made while you
Not necessarily.
How did you now? You have to share.
She's laughing at me.
Just a little.
Well, I think you should tell them because you think it's so funny.
So the fashion capital of the world, Carrie shows up to record the podcast today with a new t-shirt that I've never seen before. It's Garfield. It says, I hate Mondays. I assumed that you got it when you were at your shopping trip in the States. I did not realize that this t-shirt came all the way from Rome.
Romans like cats. There's cats everywhere. I thought it was appropriate and it was pretty cool.
Oh my God. Oh, it's a great t-shirt. It's a great t-shirt.
And it's from Rome. I didn't buy much, but I bought a Garfield t-shirt.
So now this is typical Carrie though, right? Because it's a t-shirt somebody's going to be like, "Oh, I like your t-shirt." And Carrie's going to say, "Oh, I got it in Rome. Thanks." and people, you're going to see people's their eyebrow raise a little bit, but Rome,
Crazy.
is that a store somewhere here? Yeah. I love it. I think it's fantastic. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, we digress a little. Okay, so we were back on.
Back to you're going on. I might be going on a cruise. You're planning a trip in 2 weeks, and we're supposed to be talking about the pros and cons and whatever of a last minute trip.
Yes. So flights, FYI, expensive. So that is the only problem I think that I spend lots of time thinking about it. That is my biggest issue with the last minute trip is the flights, because there's not as much availability for seats and they are more expensive. So I think maybe if I had waited another week or two, maybe they'd be selling off the seats that didn't sell. I don't know. But I was a little worried that I was going to end up with really horrible flight times and or connections. And when I'm flying by myself, I don't want to do that. So yeah, I paid more for my flights than I normally would.
And at this point too, when you've decided you really want to go and you need to go, there's also the fear oh crap, if I don't book it, you're afraid that you're not, something's going to happen. Like you said, it's going to, all of a sudden your only option is 2 connectors. Yeah. You're going from Toronto to Calgary to back to Montreal, then down to Ottawa. It's a 14-hour trip.
Well, and it's funny.
And then you're not going to do that. So then your trip's not happening.
Yeah. And I didn't want to take a chance. And I did look at flying out of Buffalo to see if it was cheaper. But quite honestly, once I tacked on the hotel the night before, and I converted the US to Canadian, it really wasn't that much of a difference. And when I add on 2 hours to drive to Buffalo and 2 hours to drive home at the end, so totally not worth it for me. So yes, I'm flying out of Toronto. I even bought, and it's Air Canada. I love my WestJet, but I'm flying Air Canada because they were cheaper. and I prepaid for my check bag. So it's funny when you look at the tiers of seats and fares. I normally just book the cheapest one, like the cheapest fare, non-refundable, like you can't do anything. Your money's gone. But this one, I actually looked at the higher fare rate, and because it included a check bag. If I was going to purchase my check bag, it was something like $63.
Yikes.
So the fare gave me my seat selection plus my check bag, and it was like $75 more. So I was like, yeah, I may as well. And then that way I get to pick what seat I want. So
right.
That's
what I find now when you look at Air Canada they're all doing that, but yeah, like what you're gonna check your bag anyways or whatever, and then when you do the math, unless it's like a ginormous jump, like a couple $100 between them, like when it's only like $80 or $100, you might as well just bump it up and pay for it now instead of paying for it later, because you're gonna.
I mean, it's not a secret. I'm going to check a bag, which was another deterrent from flying out of Buffalo. Some of those airlines charge for carry-ons.
Yeah, you were looking at JetBlue probably. Southwest gives you 2 free bags.
JetBlue or whichever one, like, so I got to pay to bring my carry-on, plus I got to check a bag. So for me,
or maybe you were looking at something else.
Yeah. But yeah. I did, while we're at this part of the podcast, before we go on to the rest of Disney and the planning, the last minute checking a bag, I did get a question from a listener about your thoughts on the luggage. So we talked apparently a lot about the luggage that you were buying to take to Italy, but we actually didn't talk about how you used the luggage and whether you liked it when you were in Italy.
Are you sure we didn't talk
I don't know.
It?
I don't think so. According to the feedback I got, we did not. And since we both have the same luggage, it's probably worth a couple minutes.
Yes, for you the luggage is beautiful. It is wonderful. It's the lock on. It's awesome, which I've never had a lock like that before. Like those new ones that kind of are built in. The space with like the way it zips up and all the inside compartments and all that stuff. It was absolutely fantastic. No buyer's remorse. But for that trip, considering I was going and staying somewhere different every 2 days, and even though I left with it half empty, I pretty much came home with it almost half empty because I didn't buy, like, Garfield shirts don't take up too much room. Like and I never even had to carry my bags all, like Adventures by Disney moved my bags all week long. But like even the fact that I had to, like, it's so big, it doesn't fit on one of those luggage lifter, like luggage stand things. Like it's that
in
big.
The room, you mean?
Yes. So when you get into the room and you put your and you've got to like dig through it to find the stuff, you're like, it's too big to fit on one of those things. So it was like, I have no regret. I love it. It's a beautiful bag, but for that type of trip, like I probably should have just brought my carry-on or borrowed something from somebody, because I don't have a regular, like that's my new regular size, that jumbo one. So now all I have is the jumbo one, or I have my squeaky. I maybe should have borrowed something from somebody that was in between, or even my mom and I could have probably packed everything in my big bag, and because she had one that wasn't as big but like a normal size suitcase, so then which hers fit on, we could have packed everything in hers, like hers fit on one of the luggage things. So that was the only thing, like this big jumbo luggage that I had to deal with. Not very good for that type of trip. If you were going to unpack at Disney for the week and then like load it up with all your merch when you're done, then perfect. It goes under the bed. But for this trip, it wasn't the most appropriate, but I was excited that I had this new bag that I wanted to use. So
this was the Hayes bag that we both bought. And for future reference, Carrie, if you need a bag in the middle, I just happen to have a mid-size bag that goes between Squeaky and the Jumbo.
Yeah, that's what I needed.
That I, quite honestly, I never use. I think I used it when we went to Dayton. So if you ever need it, I have one for you.
The next time I go on an Adventures by Disney, I'll be borrowing
it. Okay, so we've covered the flights, the last minute flights, the luggage, the cost for all of that. Hotel booking, honestly, there's plenty of availability. So I know, I think really, unless you're going the week between Christmas and New Year, you can book a last minute trip to Disney if you're not fussed about where you're staying. That, I think that's the caveat, right? Like you will have choices, but not as much choices if you booked like a year in advance.
You think like a close, like, did you look at like non-DVC pricing, or
I did. And because I looked at all the other resorts too, because I was like, well, if DVC is not going to be available, I just want to take a look and see, because I still wasn't sure. I had to get approval and stuff to go. So that took a day. So I was like, maybe when I sign back in tomorrow, the DVC won't have anything.
Did they have, were there value options too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
there was value, moderate, deluxe.
When people are planning, like generally speaking, I think I'm going to make the assumption if you were going to do like a shotgun trip to Disney World, you might be looking at doing something as economical as possible, because it's kind of on a whim type of
right.
thing.
Yes.
Just wondering if there was value or moderate.
There was. There was, because I was actually debating. I was thinking, I haven't stayed at Caribbean Beach in a while. Maybe, if I don't get my DVC, then I can go stay at Caribbean Beach. But yeah, there was plenty of availability. So then so accommodations taken care of. The next big thing for me was groceries. I have not done that yet, FYI. So I have not ordered my water. My big debate in my head is, it's only me. How many cases?
Or 3 cases?
See, you know me. If you were there, I'd easily just get 2, right? Because you would drink 3 bottles of water and I drink the rest. But it's just me. So then I'm like, am I really going to drink 48 bottles of water?
Probably.
Yeah, probably. So
what about you? But you were doing pretty good with your canteen, like bringing the water, but like filling it up and doing ice and all that stuff and water from other areas
in the parks. Yeah. And I will do that. But for me, like, I fill it up with ice at the hotel, and then I usually bring a couple bottles of water in my bag, and then I just fill it up.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes I don't want to go stand in line to get like ice water or whatever. And you don't always see like the fountains and stuff. So yeah. So that's my plan. So I, of course, am going to order from vacation grocery delivery.
But you also, like, they only have so many delivery windows, so you better get on that. What if they're all booked up?
Right. They did say that when they were on the podcast, didn't they? So that could be my problem. So I better get on that soon. And
doing something else.
Yeah. So I'm going to order my water. That's really my big thing that I need to do before I go. And then park reservations. Easy peasy. Every single day was open.
Yeah.
All
seems
4
to be
parks.
A lot different now.
Yeah. So I was once somebody actually messaged me and said, "Oh, are you going to be there for food and wine?" And I was like, I don't know. I didn't even look at that. So food and wine starts on the Thursday and I come home Saturday morning. So I thought, well, maybe I should make a park reservation for Thursday at Epcot. We'll see.
Crazy.
But it was open. It was open. So I actually made reservations for Thursday and Friday at Epcot because I can hop later in the day. For me, food and wine is my least favorite festival. So I did post that on social and said it's my least favorite festival, trying to decide if I want to go or not, or it's going to be crazy. And our friend actually posted a picture of the fries from last year. And said, basically, remember these? So, so I'm going to food and wine because I want those fries. And so I made the reservations for Thursday and Friday because I figure I'll go in the morning, like at 11 o'clock. It'll be night, hopefully before the sun is like scorching and before like all the locals come. I hope that I can get out of there by dinner time, but when it starts to
it'll
get
be crazy at like 1:30.
I know. That's the only thing with food and wine.
Yeah, so I think if we were there, I've been there on the first days. Weren't we on the first day of something last year?
I think we were, but then I felt like I really needed to get there, not only for the fries, but I need to go see what's going on with Beaker and Honeydew.
This is when you walk into the park and you're walking away with your French fries and you're heading towards the back wherever it's over. That's over by that was over by what's it called, like Test Track and whatever, right?
Yes.
You'll be leaving there and walking over to the merch shop, whatever the heck it's called, and you'll be like, Carrie? I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm surprised. I'm here to see the Muppets too.
Well, I did extend the invitation. I told Carrie there was plenty of room if she could get a flight. But the Muppets are going to make an appearance at
I know,
Food
it's
and
exciting.
Wine.
I love it.
So it's
Beaker and Dr. Bunsen Honeydew.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think it's just that we were talking about this the other day? Do you think it's just that vehicle they were like, I'm trying to remember the vehicle that they were in before, and they kind of drove around the park but only like limited spaces. I feel like they were only up at the front, like over to your point,
like over by Spaceship Earth and like that corridor there, which it doesn't, like, they can't really be there. So I don't think it will be. I think it looks like it might be a little show.
It might be over by where they have like Club Cool and like that corridor there. Might be there.
Or might be in the festival build, like the building where they had all the Figment stuff.
Right.
Maybe,
in there.
Maybe it's
like
just
where
over
they had
there.
Santa at Christmas. Mm-hmm. That's where we went to eat our fries.
Mm-hmm. So maybe it's in there. And it's just like a little show.
So I will be on the lookout for that. I mean, that is obviously,
I hope so.
Whether or not, Muppet Crazy is with me, I need to, I need to do this for you. I need to stream it back to you. I need to call, take pictures, do everything I need to do.
That sounds good. That'll save me a flight if you want to go on a call with me when you watch it.
I can do that. So that's the plan for Thursday and Friday, is to experience a little Food and Wine and be on the lookout for the Muppets.
Mm-hmm. A priority.
Otherwise, Carrie, last minute dining, no problem. Like, no problem.
You searched?
I searched because I was like, do I want to try something different? Like, what do I, me though, I can never make a decision this far in advance. So I actually haven't booked any dining, but there's tons of stuff available. I could go to Citrico's. I could go to Woody's Roundup. I could go to Chef Mickey's.
Nice.
Crystal Palace. All of these things are available if I'm not fussed about the time. Like, yes, some of them are 7 p.m. or lunch at 11:30. Who cares? They're all available.
Sweet. And I thought you were going to say, like, you search them and then you're like, oh, no reservation required for the Temple Cafe.
There is not. And it's funny because I did say that I know it's going to be hot. I know it's going to be gross. But if I have to just sit in the Contempo Cafe and watch that monorail go by, I'll be happy.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure I'll do that. And then I'll head over to the Magic Kingdom and I'll sit under those little yellow umbrellas.
Like,
and
it's freaking hot here.
I'll be like, it's freaking hot here. And I'll have a couple of bottles of water with me and I'll just
head back to the Contempo Cafe.
I'll be happy, right? So I got my anti-frizz hair thing done so that I can handle the heat. I've got a couple baseball hats that I bought when I was there with you, because I think we've done July a couple times before, and I'm ready to go. So all of that to say, there's really no issue booking lunch.
It can be done, and you should do it.
It can be done.
Like, I guess the one thing is that you don't have like the long anticipated excitement for going.
Exactly. But is that good for people or not? I know. But sometimes I feel like that's too much of a buildup. That at some point, maybe that contributes to people when they have like a disappointment experience or something, because they've been building it up in their brain for so long. I feel like, especially for first timers and stuff, that's true.
I think it depends. Yeah, for people that probably go all the time, it's a little bit less. But like, I experienced that my Adventures by Disney was awesome and had the best time ever. But before I was going, because I didn't give it the time to really Like I was excited about it, but I was very stressed out about it.
Yes.
And it was in getting stuff done and being away and all that stuff. Like, and I wasn't like doing all like intensive research trying to figure out, some of the minute details of what might be happening or what I might do or whatever. I was feeling anxiety that I didn't do that. Like I was feeling and almost feeling bad. Like I can't be like, this big thing is right in, epic trip is right in front of me and I haven't given it the time it deserves.
Right.
Like I did feel that with that trip. But then when I got on the trip, I was like, no, not like, and if it was a trip that I put together all by myself, it would have been a disaster. But I was in the hands of Disney and it was fine. But like, I definitely felt that before. And usually because we go to Disney, we like if it's 2 weeks, a month, or 3 months, we just kind of like, man, we just do what we do. And we're excited to go. But, we don't really probably get to that crazy level of excitement anymore. It's just kind of
right
what we do. But
yeah, I think it's interesting. Like I have a friend who just booked to go in 3 weeks. So they arrived the week after I leave. And they booked the day after I did. They've never been.
Like
this is first timers.
That seems kind of crazy.
2 kids, 2 young kids, 2 adults staying. They're going all out because they've never been to Disney. They're staying Grand Floridian, doing the parks, doing everything, and they know nothing. Like they literally said to me, I'm hearing about some genie thing. What's the genie thing? Like, oh my gosh.
I think that's a little too close. Like I think you need especially for a first time, you need like a couple months maybe to wrap your head around it and to do some,
Well, but so for them, they're so like, they're so chill. They're like, so can you explain it to us before we go? I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, because
it'll be fine.
With Genie, they can't do anything in advance anyway.
Mm-hmm. They just need to kind of know the main points.
Exactly. But dining,
I guess if they're really chill,
they're not fussed about dining or anything because they got 2 young kids. For them, they're like, whatever, we'll see how we feel when we get there. Their biggest concern is ordering groceries for the room before they go. That was like their biggest, we need to make sure we have snacks in the room. It's like, yeah, okay. But yeah, isn't that weird?
Well, I guess too, if they really don't they don't understand. Like the blessing is that they're chill and they have booked this thing last minute and they're not like they haven't spent the last 6 months in Facebook groups or on online researching and determining what's going to destroy their their vacation if it doesn't happen or whatever. So,
that is where that's where the genie question came from. Well, my wife's in this Facebook group and they said something about a genie. Yeah. So I guess it can be done. It can be done, but I think so much of it depends on your personality. Like for some people, booking this last minute would be incredibly stressful. For people like me, people like me, planning in advance is stressful. Like my sister is driving me nuts right now about a trip for January, Carrie, like 6 months from now. I don't care. I can't even think about it. Yeah, that stresses me out. Going in a couple of weeks, no problem. Oh, I got to book a taxi for the airport. See, that's the stuff though that comes up. I'm like, oh, I forgot to do this. Oh, I forgot to do that. But that's really it.
Yeah, and then you'll still pack at the last minute.
Carrie, I haven't even unpacked my suitcase for my last trip. Like it's still lying on the floor upstairs. The only thing that came out of it was my dirty laundry. So everything else is still in it. Yeah.
So that's good. You just throw back in some clean clothes.
And then I'm good to go.
Figure out your 4.5 pairs of shoes you're going to pack and you're...
Well, because I was looking at, everybody keeps telling me I should go try Citricos at the Grand Floridian for dinner. So I was looking at the menu and then I'm like, you know what I'm going to order here is the chicken. And if I'm going to go and order chicken, why am I going to spend $60 on chicken? But the second thing was, do I got to dress up for it? Because if I can't go in my t-shirt and my capris and my running shoes, then I don't know that I want to go. Although if I can go to California Grill in those outfits, then I'm sure. Yeah. There's an event at the top of the world too. Did you see that? The dessert thing, like it's a dessert tasting at California Grill on select nights. It's available when I'm there, but it's like $199
for desserts.
That. Yeah, and you got to dress up. So I said, forget it. No, thank you. I've been there, done that. I've seen the fireworks from up there. I'm good.
How many desserts could there be?
And how good could they be for that? Like I'm okay. I'll go get a churro and a cupcake, and I'm good.
Don't get a churro.
And my fries, those three tastings of fries from the Food and Wine, and I'm gonna be very happy. Carrie, did we really just talk for like 25 minutes or whatever? That
probably, and really did like. I guess we sort of have.
Yes, you could.
Yes, you can book a last minute trip, and it's easy and fun, and get everything you need booked. Don't worry, you'll eat. You'll have fun in the parks. You'll eat.
Ta-da! There's our point.
You'll see shows. Trust us, you can do it.
There's our point. You know, people ask me, they're like, "Do you guys really just talk about Disney and whatever?" And I'm like, sometimes I'm not really sure we even talk. Like, we're all over the place sometimes.
And sometimes maybe all the time. So yeah, right. So you're going on a trip.
I'm going on a trip.
There's a trip report to come in the future.
There's a trip report in the future. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So we'll have that for sure. Okay, Carrie. Maybe we just need to skip to Pixie Dust and put these people out of their misery.
Yeah.
What's your Pixie Dust this week? What brought you some joy?
Oh, last night I went for a walk with my friend who we met in grade 9 or grade 10. Mm-hmm. And so we've been good friends for a long time, my friend Jolene. And we she lives like a couple streets away, and we know everybody gets busy and we never spend enough time with each other. So I messaged her last week and asked her to go if she wanted to go for a walk. So we went for a walk last night, and she got dropped off at my house because they were out and about. She was out all day with her family, and her daughter, who again I've known her whole life, who is now like in university and a woman now, dropped her off, like pulled up in front of the house to drop her off. And I was in the basement because I knew she was coming, but I was like, oh, I can probably get some laundry. So I was in the basement, and I came upstairs, and like, so Joy had been standing aside for a little bit of time because I'm like yelling up, like as if she can hear me out the front of the house. I'm coming. I just folded the laundry. And I get upstairs and I open the door, and her daughter's like the car. She's still sitting like up front waiting, like just like a mother would do with a kid to make sure that they answered the door.
Make sure somebody's home.
And I opened up the door, and I'm like, I was just down folding the laundry, and I looked, and I'm like, oh, she's still waiting for you, just like you would wait for her to make sure that her friends are home.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
Anyways, so we went for our walk, and we chatted and got caught up, but like usually we would walk for like to go for coffee because there's like quite a few. There's Tim Hortons that are nearby that we could walk to. And then we got to the corner where it was like turn this way to Tim Hortons or whatever. I was like, oh, perhaps we could go for an ice cream at Dairy Queen instead.
So the coffee is out the window?
So she was like, absolutely. So we went to Dairy Queen, and we sat and chatted in Dairy Queen for an hour or so and ate some ice cream. And then she dropped me back off at home, walked me home. And then she carried on to walk home herself. So
nice. Really, what did you have at Dairy Queen? I love Dairy Queen.
I had a churro dipped cone because they have the churro. Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like an ice cream cone dipped in churro. Like, you know, you get the chocolate dip or the caramel dip or whatever. Yeah. They have the churro dip right now. It's pretty good.
I love the chocolate dip.
Mm-hmm. So I had a cone, and we chatted and walked home, and it was good. It was a really nice night.
Nice.
That was my Pixie Dust. Thank you.
I didn't realize her name was Jolene.
Jolene, yep.
Like that's not a good song for someone to have.
Jolene. It was an awesome song.
Jolene. Oh, it's a lovely song. It's a great song.
Yes, aka everybody, like my friend Joey, what her name is.
Because
Jolene.
you call her Joey. I didn't realize her actual name was Jolene.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So that was my Pixie Dust.
That was good. It's been hot lately, so
it was a beautiful night for a walk. Like it was perfect night. Yeah. If we would have walked other nights this week, we probably would have went for to Tim Hortons for the first Tim Hortons, because we could walk further to the second one for a longer walk.
Right.
We probably would have went to the first one and sat there and drank an ice cap or something. But yeah, last night was beautiful. It was the most perfect night to go for a walk. So it all worked out.
We've had some nice nights this week. I mean, there was one though. Did something happen to you this week? One night? Not you.
Oh, jerk. I wonder how warm it was that night. I didn't really pay attention.
I didn't either.
So what Francine would like me to divulge is how I'm a horrible cat mom.
And how I had the greatest laugh the next morning. Oh, sorry.
So on Monday night, I came home from my aunt's house. I was there all day long.
Yes.
And usually, like when I come home after work, Figaro is like waiting at the door. Like I open up the door like a crack, and he's like squeezing his face out and his body out of the door. And I let him run outside for a little bit, sit around, eat some grass, roll around on the front step, and then I usually scoot him back in. And so when I came home late Monday night, like 9:30 at night, it's dark outside. Figaro again heard my beep, and then he runs out the door. So I'm like, I'm probably carrying and stuff, whatever. I'm like, okay, buddy, whatever. See you later. And I close the door. And then I stayed up way past my bedtime. I was like puzzling.
As you do.
I didn't do any work, but I was puzzling. So I was at the table puzzling, and I probably stayed up till like 12-ish before I went to bed. I go home at 9:30-ish. And I went to bed. And then the next morning when I woke up, I was probably on my feet for less than 2 minutes, because as a cat mom or regular mom, your fur babies pretty much like they're in your life 24/7.
Yes.
So when I wake up and I like can barely like see straight and I'm walking to the washroom, usually there's 3 cats that follow me into the washroom. And that morning there wasn't, I don't know if there was even anybody. And then I get out of the washroom, I walk downstairs, and I'm like, oh, where's Figaro? And then I realized that I left him outside on my own. Figaro.
Oh, the poor
These
dude.
cats.
The poor dude.
This cat, if like, yeah, he thinks he's all good, but he doesn't really leave the front porch. Like if a car drives by, if he wore pants, he'd poop his pants and he would run back inside. So this little poor little bugger was outside all night long. And when I first called him, he didn't answer. And I was like, Figaro. And then I could hear he must have been in the backyard, because they can like squeeze through something to get in the backyard. And I could hear him like howling and meowing at me, like as he's running from wherever he was to the front of the house, up the stairs. And then for like 2 minutes straight in the house, he followed me everywhere and just yelled at me.
Yelled at me. You in trouble.
Yelled at me like, and then he went to go eat, because I think whenever the cats are outside for even like 5 minutes longer than they expect, they feel like they're never going to eat again. Like they're so grateful that you let them in, because they were going to starve if they didn't come in the house ever again.
Oh my!
And then he ate and ate, probably because he probably thought he was never going to get food again. He was never going to see a piece of kibble ever again in his life.
Oh.
So that was not my pixie dust.
He's home. I know, but it was
like no joke. No joke though. Like that night, 5 o'clock, getting home. Beep beep. Guess he's running outside again. Like
he wasn't traumatized. He was back outside the next day. Mm-hmm. Like that morning, he came home, and then that night he was back out.
He was ready to. He forgets. So it couldn't have been too traumatizing. I kind of wonder. The other day, I went out to go pick up Swiss LA, and I ordered it online, and I jumped in the car to go grab it. And again, I went out the door. He ran out, and I'm like, okay, buddy, whatever. You stay out here till I get back. And I was much longer, because like at the Swiss LA, the debit machines weren't working. And so everybody that was in line in front of me was trying to pay with their debit. And so I was like just sitting and waiting. Right. So I was gone for probably like half an hour. I should have been gone for like barely 10 minutes. And when I came back, he was like, maybe a big truck drove by or something. I have a little kitty tent out there, like, yeah, not a big one. Like I used to have like this little cheap one, which isn't the greatest. So I just kind of have it there, but I haven't even been putting them in it, and I have it unzipped, but like the door flap was unzipped, but it was down.
Right.
And so he had to go through the door flap, and he was sitting in he was sitting in the tent, door flap closed, like sitting there like awkwardly.
Oh,
waiting for me to come home. And then when he saw me pull in the driveway and go to the steps, he came out of the thing and like was squawking at me again and running towards the front door. So but he's not traumatized apparently by any of these experiences.
He couldn't care less. It might have been cooler for him outside actually overnight than it would have been in the house.
I don't know. Well, I had the back window open like in this room, and I would have expected if he would have came face to face with another cat. Like there's a black cat that roams the neighborhood. The other day they were all like him and Mins were outside, and there was like a cat that almost looked like a fluffy Siamese type cat, like with the seal point markings, was sitting underneath our neighbor's car, not our neighbor's cat. So I figured if he would have came face to face with something out there, I probably would have heard it through the window, and then I would have, had to let him in whatever time so I don't think he met it. I don't know if he hid or if he sat in the tent. Maybe he sat in the tent and I just happened to
sat in the tent and went camping.
He just happened to go like look for something to do early in the morning when he got up. When it was bright out. Maybe he went into the backyard then. Maybe awkwardly sat in the tent all night long. But yeah. So there you go. Thanks for that one. There's a cat mom fail.
Oh my gosh.
So what's your
pixie dust? An adventure.
Yeah. Your turn.
So my pixie dust. Everybody knows I use Penguin Pickup or whatever. This is where all my packages go. And I got a notification the other day something was there, but it was too early for my Amazon order. So I figured it was these clothes I had ordered. And then I got another couple of them yesterday. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. All my packages are in. So I decided to go up and pick it up on the way to the hairdresser.
Mm-hmm.
So I pick up all my bags. I'm putting them in the back seat. And there's this package that is not like my regular clothes or my Amazon packages or whatever. And I look at it and I'm like, what is this? So I opened it before I drive to, which by the way, I think I'm going to be late for the hairdresser. So I've got to get moving, but I opened it anyway, just to see what it was. And can I tell you, I basically cried all the way to the hairdresser until I got off the highway. So as I said earlier, I booked this trip because I've been feeling miserable. I've been feeling kind of bleh. I just needed a little joy. And my friend Carrie knew that I was feeling kind of bad. And she sent me the most lovely gift. So this is like a handmade, is it a journal, booklet, whatever? It's a book full of pictures and memories of our friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I seriously, I opened it and I flipped through it before I started driving to the hairdresser. And then I just started crying. And then, so when I got off the highway, then I called you. It was like, you bonehead, I've been crying for like half an hour. But it is like the kindest, most thoughtful thing I think I've ever gotten. And I know it took her forever to make. And it's like all these pictures of like some of our like craziest, kookiest, fabulous memories.
Yeah, it was fun.
And I can't say enough. Like, I can't tell you how much I appreciate this and how happy it made me and how much joy it gave me. It's just like, it's amazing. It's amazing.
You're welcome,
thank
pal.
you. Thank
and
you.
It's funny, like I worked on it for a while, but it was pretty much done before I went to Italy, but I couldn't figure what to do with the cover. I couldn't decide what to do with the cover, and I didn't want to leave a blank, and I didn't want to just write whatever on it. So it's almost like maybe all that happened for a reason. Like you really needed it this week, and I finished it on Monday, the day of the Figaro outside night. I finished the cover that day. And I said to my aunt, I have to get this finished and I have to send it right away. So like, it was almost like just maybe, my creative block on what to do with the cover happened for a reason, so that I could get it to you when you really needed it. So
I did.
Cool that I was like, ooh, I got to get this in the mail tomorrow. So you could get it this week. Cause I thought if anything, to get you out of your funk. I was hoping that would help.
It did. Like, you have no idea. And even just like flipping through some of these pictures, like, you guys, like, you only get to hear a sliver of the silliness and the boneheadedness of the two of us on this podcast weekly. Wherever we go, whatever we do, we usually have something funny, silly, stupid, whatever. There's always some kind of shenanigans wherever we go. And Carrie's put together this book of pictures of our shenanigans. Mm-hmm. And it brings so many great memories and so many, like, I can't wait till we make more. I can't.
Did you see that it sings a song?
That it sings a song?
Yeah, yeah. You can look at it when you're done. It sings the song, the words that I wrote.
Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me?
Mm-mm.
And I said to her this morning, like, every time I look at it, I see something I didn't notice before. Like she has cupcakes drawn on here. Like, you don't understand the detail that she put into this. Like, yeah.
When we're done the call, open the book and flip through the pages and read the words on it quickly.
Okay, because I stop on the pictures because I want to look at the pictures and look at all
read
the
words,
like, just continual.
Skip the book and just read the words I've written.
Is it a song you wrote?
No, it's a Disney song.
Okay. I'm gonna have to do this. Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
It's like a hidden Mickey almost.
That's like the best pixie dust I could have asked for. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, that's it, folks. We talked a whole lot of nothing. Yes, you can book a last minute trip.
For 50 minutes.
And if you got this far, thanks for listening. We'll be back next week.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode.
Make sure you're following us on your favorite podcast player so you'll get a new episode every week. And find us on social media too. We'd love to hear from you.
Till next time, remember, you are never too old to be young. Chase your dreams and design your own happily ever after.